clink, 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 clank. I hope you already hit that thumbs up button because, yes, it's been too long. Bitch, what you been too long? I've been too long. I've been trying to get my legs together, and I know it's taking me a minute, but we got to get to this pop star, okay? What you drinking on? Grapefruit juice with mezcal. Oh, I like tart beverages. All the details on the beauty aspects of what am I wearing, my face, my hair, description box. First up, we gotta cover what's going on in Orlando, Florida. Follow me on Snapchat. You already know that my whole daddy side of the family is from Central Florida, Polk County. I actually was in Orlando last month for my grandmother's funeral. And so just to hear all this tragedy coming out of Orlando, I mean, clearly, I don't even need to have family in Orlando for it to be sad to me. There's Christina Grimmie. Am I pronouncing her name correctly? She came up through YouTube and she was on one of the television singing competitions and she was performing in Orlando, Florida. And I believe she was signing autographs or something, and this dude who was been obsessed with her just walked up on her and shot her in the head and killed her. Like, just took her life away. And I'm just sitting here like, you know, maybe I'm slightly biased, but I mean, obviously because I live in the bubble where I am a YouTube content creator. But I feel like a lot of times people kind of scoff at what it means to be a YouTuber and what it means to put your life kind of online and the dangers that come with that. Like, even with me, when I try to explain, you know, a lot of the dramatics, I had a really rough year in Houston last year. When I try to explain to people about like why these things matter to me or why I walked away with a certain emotional connection to it, people always want to give you like the Instagram inspirational quotes. Like, girl, I feel like especially women on YouTube, because of the pervasive culture that we have, and I'm going to be talking a lot about the pervasive cultures that we embody. This is part of like rape culture or patriarchy, in that we embolden men to believe that they have an ownership over women. And so for this guy to be that obsessed with a woman who he cannot have, who he had no direct correlation with, and he has the means and the access to buy weapons to just roll up on her and take her life away. Then we get to the shooting or the massacre that happened at the Orlando nightclub Pulse, which was a gay club. And just so many feels. I mean, it's so cliche to be like, I have gay friends. It doesn't, again, I just want to iterate that as much as I like want to say these things, they don't need to be in order for me to feel some type of way about the situation. You know, but I really did immediately think about all the times in New York City, like that I went to Pride or that I went to the gay club with my homeboys, and like how easy it would be for me to be in this situation and lose my life, and then how little we think about the safety of others, right? Of the safety of people that don't necessarily fit into the mainstream ideals, in that they're not cis, they're not heterosexual, they're not male and white, essentially. Disheartening to know that we live in a society where people feel like they have the privilege of living over you, that their life is more valuable than the next person's, and that there's some higher being that says so. I don't believe that's the principle of what any God teaches, but that people will twist those words in order to make it so is really just, I don't even know that's sad or disheartening or tragic is right to describe what happened in Orlando. But this is definitely another pervasive aspect of culture that we endorse in America, in that homophobia is rancid in our communities. And this is the hard one to broach, because, you know, I know us black women, so we don't, I mean, myself included, we be ready to give the strong side eye anybody trying to tell us about ourselves. But what I saw after the shooting, when people were posting their statuses and however they were acting, anytime somebody mentioned homophobia, without fail, there was a black woman in the comment sections saying, oh, it's not fair to say that the people are homophobic. Like, somebody posted a status about, you know, what's really damning is that somebody found out their child was gay because they were at this nightclub when the massacre happened. So, like, their child lost their lives, and they're finding out about their child's sexuality because that child didn't feel comfortable enough to live in their truth, that they didn't live in a society that would accept them as they are. And of course, there were black women in the comment section, well, how do you know the family was homophobic? I know gay men that hit it because they just didn't want to give their family that burden. I had this argument with my homegirls in Houston last year when we were talking about the transgender bathroom rights, and it's been the same. I did a video on it. A lot of y'all didn't watch it because I know y'all be like, it's too deep. because we don't want to be accused of ever being oppressed, because we are a very oppressed sect ourselves. It doesn't feel good to talk about it. You know, but when I'm talking to my girls, I'm like, well, you're transphobic or you're homophobic. Every time it's like, no, that's not it. I just want to, you know, I got to research a little bit more how gay marriage impacts my church. But did you ever do your research? I do understand this idea, especially for gay men, that they have about us loving the culture but not loving them. And it's hard to hear because we feel the same way. People will love our culture but don't love us. And so it's kind of like, okay, why are you trying to, like, it's a struggle awards again. You know, let's all strive to be better people all around. Is that? You know, take a sip. We're going to take a sip. You know, it's ironic that after a massacre, and even that I can say post-massacre, like it's a thing that just happens here, that we always kind of get really gun-ho. Okay, that's ironic too. No pun intended. Speak up a lot about gun laws that need to be passed right after a massacre, and then it kind of fizzles away, right? And I really do believe that our apathy is what's killing us. Whether it is that when we start talking about rights for non-binary people, we ignore, I just don't around the conversation. We start talking about transgenders in the bathroom. We start talking about abortion rights or gay rights or all these things that we don't necessarily understand or we wouldn't personally indulge in. And rather than kind of understanding what it means just to give a person the right over their body, we just kind of, okay, yeah, I know. We stay quiet. And not even that you have to be an advocate for it, but that we allow the hate mongering to continue. We don't correct or tell other people when they're wrong about their hate speech when it doesn't apply to us. And you just never know who's going to act on that hate. It's like even the dude who shot up the nightclub, his wife, I feel like she's guilty. I feel like she should see some punishment for, you know, knowing that her husband was plotting this and not saying anything. But like, how many of us participate in some level of this and we're just lucky enough that the person doesn't act on it? Girl, sip on it, because we all do, myself included. So the Democrats launched a filibuster on the floor. It lasted 15 hours. In the end, got the Republicans to say that they would consider a gun law. Obama has been trying to ban the AR-15, an assault rifle that was invented for war. It wasn't meant for commercial consumption, but it is literally easier to get an AR-15 than it is to get your driver's license. And I'm just not here for the Facebook comments with these backwards ass. Oh my gosh, Facebook comments make me so sad for the state of our country. It's just people really revel in hate. You know, it is this interesting concept that we are social media amplifies a lot of voices. And a lot of us choose to use our voices towards negativity because to be contrarian means that we think differently than somebody else, and somehow, even when your different thought is steeped in negativity, it makes you feel important. Again, I'm pointing out things that I am not above. I have been guilty of these same things myself. But it's coming to the recognition of how much we kind of play into that. The last thing about Orlando, it's not, this whole pop song not gonna be about Orlando, but sheesh, girl. The alligator attack. Now, this is all I want to say. I think it's very, 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 girl, tragic that a 2-year-old was attacked by an alligator and killed. Like, dragged into the water, disappeared, and that was the end of his life. And that not only did his mother and father view it, but his 4-year-old, or she wasn't that old, his sister. Wow, this is traumatic. This is like, y'all, like, I don't even know how you live after that. As a mother, I'm not a mother, but if I was a mother, girl, like, right here, ain't never nary second in my life that you could ever convince me at any point to get in, even dip my big toe into a body of fresh water in Central Florida. My aunt had a house on the water, and I remember my dad and uncle used to joke all the time about throwing me in the water because I don't really know how to swim. I made a joke one year about, like, B.I., we not slaves. You could really take me to the Y and teach me how to swim. That didn't go over so well, but I thought it was funny. I thought it was witty. But whatever, it might have been ignorant, but okay. But no. You don't get into the fresh, and like, they were at the Disney World Resort. And I'm not trying to slander the family, but I just feel like at the Disney World Resort, where there's pools, there's water parks, there's pools, why is you in the lagoon dipping your toe in some green murky water at 9:30 at night where there's a no swimming sign? Yeah, they need to put up an alligator sign. They need to put it up and let people know it's live animals in here. But yeah, like I get it. They're from Nebraska. It's like inland. I guess there's no. I don't know what's in Nebraska. I don't know. Maybe a lot of white people in Wells Fargo. That's all I know. But or what's the guy? Warren Buffett is in Nebraska too, right? But I mean, whatever. R.I.P. I feel bad for the family. It's sad. But one last thing that does have to be said is what about the young toddler who was toddlering and not listening to his mother and crawled into the gorilla cage in Cincinnati, Ohio, and then they released the whole family's history, the pictures, the mugshots, everything, and that family caught all the slander. I don't mean for this to be so sad, but Muhammad Ali passed away. And honestly, it is sad, but it's also super awe-inspiring to look back at what Muhammad Ali's legacy means to such a diverse group of people. And specifically, what Ali's legacy means to Black Americans. Ali impacted and changed a culture. Coming out of an era at the end of Jim Crow, the beginning of, or the precipice of civil rights and the Vietnam War, he really impacted the cultural identity of what it means to be African American. Even in his venturing or traveling back to Africa, like the second iteration of Africa being cool in America, I do believe personally we're in like the fourth iteration of Africa or African culture being cool in America. I get it, and I totally believe in allowing y'all to control your narrative, because the African booty scratcher, the slander runs deep, the comments, girl, the scars run deep, so I get it. But you know, you look at history of Black in America at the time where African culture became like a thing of like the intellectual or the culturally aware. It was something to be looked upon. Well, W.E.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey was like the first iteration, and then like, you know, Ali went back in '64, which is the same time that Nina Simone and James Baldwin and Malcolm X, the same kind of year a lot of them went back. That was the second iteration. The third iteration was like hip hop and Africa Bambaataa, and like, you know, the way Jay Versace be dressing like a 1990s kid. That. And you know, now we're like in the fourth iteration. We're like the dashikis and Skelly Wu Davido. Okay, Muhammad Ali's influence is heavy. It's just it makes me think a lot about what will my own legacy mean. As much slander as we all catch, as much criticism we can all catch in the now, when I'm gone, who will look back and be thankful for me standing my ground? Honestly, the death is sad, but what he left behind is so beautiful that it almost doesn't, you know, it doesn't feel depressing. I've heard so many references of Kanye being the next Muhammad Ali. Oh child, yeah girl. Ali was highly criticized during his era, yes. Ali was definitely cocky and confident with regards to what Muhammad Ali deserved. I mean, Ali also liked his light, bright, and wavy sisters. I don't know. I could be wrong. Let's just revisit this conversation in 50 years. There's been a lot of saying going on. I mean, girl, go watch my review of Lemonade. Go watch Evelyn from the Internet's video or something. Go get your happy on. Or go download Chance the Rapper's new album, Coloring Book. Girl, I listen to that album every day. And last notes, Undefeated.com is ESPN's new venture into like kind of like the intersection of sports, pop culture, Black identity. Dope website, great reads. One of the reads they put up when they first launched about 2 weeks ago was a long read on the disrespect that Obama has faced as a president. That's just unprecedented for any other sitting president. And I think you should definitely go read it, because for me it definitely kind of tapped into a lot of kind of the fear mongering that's been going on in this current election. And I think it's low-key slander pointed at Obama. What would make this such a more positive moment is if Frank Ocean actually dropped that album we've all been waiting on. He hasn't dropped the album, but he did help James Blake, the guy that's forward, Beyonce's Lemonade album. He helped James Blake get up, get out, and drop a new album. So, you know, you can replace crying over your ex over boiled eggs with just listening to a James Blake album. Do you want to see more Smart Brown Girl content like this? Support by becoming a Smart Brown Girl patron today, or checking out any of the Smart Brown Girl merchandise that's listed in the description box below. Thank you, Smart Brown Girls. Stay awesome.